Disclaimer: I am not a lawyer. I am not giving you legal advice on how to deal with your divorce. I am only sharing knowledge that I learned from my divorce journey. Consult an attorney for any legal advice. Divorce in Missouri: things I learned on my journey. Missouri is a no-fault state. Missouri is a no-fault state. This means that one spouse can file for divorce for any reason or for no specific reason. A spouse does not have to wait out a specific waiting period and does not have to prove that the spouse committed some form of misconduct during the marriage. What about lawyers? In my situation, my wife had a lawyer and I did not. The lawyer filed our paperwork for us. www.onlinemissouridivorce.com will do a lawyer-free divorce for $139. It's regular $159. I am not sponsored by them. This is just something I found online doing research. How does child support work? Form 14 Child Support Amount Calculation Worksheet. The Missouri Child Support Guidelines Worksheet, Form 14, estimates the child support obligation that a court may order a parent to pay towards supporting the children or child on a monthly basis. When do I get to see my kids? We set up our own visitation schedule. We worked it out in the best interest of our kids. Once again, just to reiterate, I am not a lawyer, okay? I'm not giving any legal advice. I'm just sharing knowledge that I gained through my process of going through the journey of divorce. I know divorce is final, but that doesn't mean that your life is over and that you're finished. If you get the proper mindset and you start thinking about what you want to do with your life, this can be a whole brand new chapter for you. Now, granted, it's probably going to be rough in the beginning. It took me 4 years, maybe closer to 5, till I really focused in and developed the skills that I have now and went after what I wanted to do. Now, I'm only speaking from experience on divorce in the state of Missouri. That's where I lived and that's where I got divorced. So I don't know much about any of the other states. If you've got specific questions, I'll be glad to check it out, research it, hit me in the comments below. But jump on the internet. There's so much information out there. Just be careful with the very first one you read. Do your research, make some phone calls, talk to attorneys. There's a plethora of information that you have to dig through to make sure you're making the good, correct decisions. In Missouri, there is a contested and a uncontested divorce. An uncontested or a no-fault divorce is also referred to. That's just two parties saying, hey, we can't resolve this issue, we're just going to go our separate ways. The contested is a fault-based divorce. Fault-based meaning someone's at fault, someone cheated, committed adultery, they've got dangerous behavior such as drugs or alcohol, or they abandon their relationship. I think it has to be for a period of 6 months, but don't quote me on that. Again, mine was uncontested. We just agreed to disagree and dissolve it. So, lawyers, that was probably my biggest concern when this whole process started. How much is this going to cost me? I've got friends that I've known when I was a police officer and before I was a cop that went through divorces, and they spent lots of money. It took a long time. There was a lot of fighting amongst them and their attorneys. And every time you pick up that phone, hey boss, got a question, the clock starts. $200 a minute, $500 a minute, whatever the case may be. It was not fun for them, and I dreaded going into debt, thousands and thousands of dollars. If you can do this amicably, it is a whole lot easier. When I was a police officer, I remember one night in particular in front of an elementary school, a mother and a father playing tug of war with their son, his feet literally dangling off the ground over custodial visitation that night. So we all showed up and took mom and dad both to jail, and the kid went home with grandma and grandpa because these people were acting like complete jackasses. Don't lose your mind. Don't lose your mind, especially in involving your kids. Side note here, but this is stuff you can't go back and undo or fix, and kids remember this stuff forever. So don't be a jackass. Be amicable, even if they cheated on you. Just deal with it and get out of it. Don't pull this crap where we have to go visit your house every week because you want to act stupid, and involve your kids. All you're doing is harming your kids and yourself and your spouse, soon to be ex-spouse, if you just get the situation done. For our situation, we had one attorney. Basically, it was my wife's attorney. She paid for it, and I told her when we got the divorce, when she wanted to file, I said, being an a-hole, you want the divorce, you pay for the attorney. I'm not paying anything. Now, should I have helped? Yeah, I should have. But I was so mad, I didn't care. So she had a lawyer, I didn't. And basically all the lawyer did was file the paperwork. But she did represent my wife. So, did I need a lawyer? Not really. I have friends that were professional bigwig divorce lawyers. If I had questions, I could call them and they would help me out. We did all our own paperwork. Like I said in the earlier part, child support, we would go meet in a public place at a restaurant, Missouri, Philly, and it's called a Form 14. Coffee and basically talk about this, your income, what are we going to do with the house. The state decides how much you're going to pay to your ex, who gets what car. We worked all that stuff out ourselves. Quite a few different things, and it wasn't always a fun conversation. Heck, it wasn't fun at all. Who has the insurance, all that stuff. So we worked it out. We, you spend got to the amount that was going to be paid, able to have a conversation with them. I was talking with a supervisor of mine at work who told me some really good advice. I was the one who always lost my mind. That he had being 2 kids in high school, and he was still paying child support for when they were comfortable doing it. So daycare after school. So no problem. And it was a lot of money. But to go back and change it was like $5,000 just to go back to court. So he said, make sure you do it now. You tier it. So and that's what I did. When one of my kids got out of childcare, bam, my amount went down. Another one got out of childcare, bam, my amount went down. So my child support would shrink over the years. So that was good advice. So look into that as well. As long as you're meeting what the state says you have to pay, then you're okay. But that has to be filed before your divorce is finalized. So if you have something you want to work out and she has to agree to it, then that's a good way to save a little bit of money on child support. Now, we didn't have to argue over alimony or anything like that. I didn't pay her alimony. She just wanted out, so she didn't go after alimony. She didn't go after my retirement. I think her 401k was bigger than mine anyway. So, again, we were pretty amicable. I left the house. I gave her the house. I said, you can stay in the house, keep the kids in the house as long as you want. She decided she didn't want to live there, so we sold it, and she didn't want the upkeep and the maintenance for the house. She wanted to live in an apartment. So, one thing about child support, dads, I know it's difficult in the beginning. You want to know where she's spending that money and what she's spending it on. Is she getting a new car? It's none of your business and it's none of your concern. You just write the check. If there becomes an issue, then you have to address that with the court later. I was trying to micromanage, I guess. I wanted to know, why are you asking me to buy them a pair of shoes? I just gave you so much money. You should be buying all the shoes. But the situation was, she was the primary, I was the secondary. When do I get to see my kids? So we worked this out between us. We did the typical every other weekend. I would get them once or twice a week if I could, depending on my schedule. I worked at a high school at the time, so we always had sporting events after school that I had to be there for. One, it helped me make extra money, and two, it was part of my job description, so I had to be there. Sometimes the kids went with me, and they would hang out at the basketball game at the high school, and they had fun. They got to meet the kids, and my daughter got to run around with the cheerleaders and play with them, and all the kids loved my children. My recommendation is, when you're trying to figure this out, my wife didn't want to meet at home because I was an angry son of a gun, and I yelled a lot, and I probably scared the shit out of her most of the time. So we would meet in a public place like a Breadco or a Panera, whatever you want to call it. That's how we did it, and we worked out the schedule that best fit us. And you know, if there was a weekend where I couldn't watch them, or one of the days of the weekend, we would try to plan that in advance so that we could have it covered. Holidays, those are all preset in the paperwork. You know, every other year you get Christmas, and every other year you get Thanksgiving, or whatever. You can work that out on your own, or you can. So you either decide how the holidays work, or the court does. So even if it's in, you know, in the paperwork, it doesn't mean it has to be that. If you can amicably decide, hey, you know what, my family doesn't live here, my family lives out of state. If you want them on Christmas Day, even though it's my holiday, you can have them on Christmas Day. Celebrating Christmas on the 27th with my kids is no different than celebrating it on the 25th. It doesn't mean nothing to me. It's just a day. So that's how I looked at it. A lot of people look at it, you know, again, being a police officer, we get called. I hated the holidays because we always had to deal with this stupid crap from these stupid parents acting like jackasses. Well, it says that by 6 p.m. on the 27th or 25th, they have to be at my house, and she's an hour late. Get over it. You know, it's the dumbest shit I've ever seen. And anyway, enough of that. Stick to the schedule if you have to, but if you don't, be flexible. Flexible is good. You're going to get along a whole lot better, I promise. So that was just a few things that I wanted to share from my personal experience of going through a divorce. Again, I am not an attorney. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not giving legal advice. Just sharing experience from my own divorce journey. Be kind, even if it's fake. Don't trash talk your ex in front of your kids. Don't send angry, drunk text messages or emails. I'll tell you from my work experience, it's there forever, and it can be used against you in a court of law. And you don't want that to happen. So, you're in control of your own destiny. You can be happy if you choose to be. Don't let outside circumstances get in the way of your happiness. Thanks for listening. As always, please like, share, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you have any advice, leave them in the comments below. Hope you guys have a great day. I'm Jim McDonald. This is Dad's Digging Out. Stay safe.